Everyone remembers the day when Manuel walked down the narrow dirt road toward the docks of Ciénaga and saw trucks rolling in full of soldiers. Manuel is not a single man historians can point to in a record. He stands for hundreds. Banana workers, wives, children, and union organizers, who turned up that week in December 1928 to press a simple demand: humane wages, medical care, an end to arbitrary firings. For months, United Fruit Company had run vast banana plantations along Colombia's Caribbean coast, a private state in all but name. Workers lived in company housing, paid in company scrip, and faced brutal discipline. The strike that began in late November had been peaceful, methodical, and desperate. What followed reads like a dark negotiation between money and state power. Bogotá, worried that the company would abandon the region and that foreign investors would be scared off, sent troops. United Fruit, with enormous economic and diplomatic clout, made clear its interests. Local officials and military commanders moved to protect rail lines and company property. On December 6th, in the banana town of Ciénaga, soldiers opened fire on the strikers. The immediate truth fractured into competing narratives. The Colombian government issued an official tally of 47 dead. Trade unions and survivors testified to far higher numbers. Hundreds by some counts, thousands by union claims. Bodies were buried hurriedly, journalists were intimidated, newspapers sympathetic to workers were shut down. United Fruit insisted that it had been defending its property from agitators. Officials insisted the army had acted to restore order. The whole episode became a fog of bullets, rumors, and a systematic minimization of what had happened. The elements that make this a true conspiracy are plain: an asymmetry of power, secret coordination, and public obfuscation. United Fruit's influence in Bogotá had long been structural. It was the region's largest employer, a linchpin of export revenues and a visible instrument of foreign capital. Company managers communicated regularly with diplomats and ministers. Their economic leverage translated into political leverage. When the strike threatened freight lines and port operations, decisions were taken in rooms far from Ciénaga, and enforcement came in the form of troops on freight cars. Historians examining the incident have found patterns consistent with coordinated suppression. Rapid deployment of the military, systematic attempts to silence testimony, and official reports that downplayed casualties. Eyewitness accounts, preserved in later interviews and contemporary union publications, speak of summary executions, children among the dead, and mass burials. Later writers, most famously Gabriel Garcia Marquez, would fictionalize the event, but their work was rooted in the profound historical memory of a people who felt the truth had been buried. The Banana Massacre did not merely end a strike, it recalibrated politics in Colombia and reverberated across Latin America as an emblem of corporate impunity. For years, the incident was commemorated quietly by survivors and labor organizers, while diplomats and company spokesmen defended their roles. The dispute over the death toll and responsibility became itself part of the conspiracy, a campaign to limit liability, to protect trade, and to maintain an economic order that privileged foreign capital over local lives. In later decades, declassified documents and scholarship have clarified some links. The company's deep ties to local and international power, the speed with which the state used force, and the eagerness of some authorities to control the narrative. Yet many details remain contested, and the human cost resists neat accounting. The story of Manuel and the men and women of Ciénaga is both specific and symbolic. It is a record of how corporate pressure, state violence, and media control can combine to suppress a truth. It is a reminder that conspiracy is sometimes less a shadowy cabal than a predictable convergence of interests, economic, political, and military, that meet and, in meeting, crush lives. Decades after the guns fell silent, Colombia has kept the memory of that week alive, through testimony, literature, and the painstaking work of historians who insist the full story be told. That insistence is, in its own small way, a rebuke to the forces that tried to make the massacre disappear.